Today, we're going to make a raw vegan tortilla chip. And I don't know if you're thinking already, that sounds pretty awesome, but I think it sounds pretty awesome because I love dipping chips into something delicious like guacamole, salsa, hemp seed queso. I played with this recipe for a while and I've got the ratios down that I like. And it's super healthy. It's got carrots in it. And we all know that carrots are pretty cheap. You can buy a 5-pound bag for very little. It uses kale stems. Here I have some dino kale that I'll probably make a salad with, but I'm left with the stems. I just made some kale chips recently and I had some stems. And what I like about kale stems in this recipe is there's a lot of fiber in the kale stem. And if you were to bite on a kale stem, it'd be pretty crunchy. That's the same thing we're going for in the raw vegan tortilla chip. I do not use corn in my chip recipes for a few reasons. I don't like to have a lot of corn in my diet. Corn is fatty, and I don't want a chewy chip, I want a crunchy chip. Again, while I'm using carrots, if you were to go up to a carrot and snap it, that's the type of consistency I want in a chip, something very crunchy, and that's also gonna add a little bit of sweetness. I'm gonna add some hemp seeds, just to add some omega-3s, a little bit of protein, and a little bit of fat. I'm using some apple cider vinegar, and this is just to kind of mellow out the bitterness of the kale stems. You don't have to use it. And I'm gonna put in a little bit of salt. I created this chip specifically to dip in stuff, so if you're wanting a recipe that's just a big bowl of chips that you can snack on, this might not be it. First thing I'm gonna do is take some carrots. I found about 5 carrots was right, and what I want to do to these carrots is turn them into chopped carrots. That was pretty magical what I just did there, and now I have 2 cups worth, 2 cups of chopped carrots, and I'm going to put these in my Vitamix, and then 2 cups worth of kale stems. I've chopped these up in just some really small pieces. Now that I have what's basically making up the bulk of the chip, I'm gonna add in my little bit of protein and fat with some hemp seeds. I like hemp seeds. I have a lot of them. That's why I'm using them. Half teaspoon of salt, some apple cider vinegar. Now I'm gonna add about a 1/4 cup of water. That's gonna make it a little bit easier to process and for me to spread it on my teflex sheet. The other ingredient we're gonna use is chia meal. I just took some chia seeds this morning, put them in my dry Vitamix container, and I got chia meal. I'm gonna get this going in my Vitamix first. I'm gonna blend it up, and then I'm gonna add the chia seed into it. So let's do that real quick. Take the Vitamix, turn it on. As soon as it's processing on its own and it's got that suction going on in the middle, that's what I want. And now I can measure out my chia meal, and I'm gonna do 4 tablespoons, which is a 1/4 cup. This is also going to help keep the chip together so it has a crunchiness to it, and it's gonna add some more omega-3s and some more protein. So this chip is really healthy. It has lots of omega-3s and a good amount of protein and healthy fats. And not to mention all the beta-carotene from the carrots, which will be converted into retinol, which is known as vitamin A in the body. The kale stems have lots of fiber, and they're probably still full of the same nutrients kale has, like magnesium, calcium, protein, iron, and some zinc. Turn it back on. Now all I have to do is spread this onto a dehydrator sheet. So far, I hope you've noticed how easy this recipe is. You basically just throw some vegetables into a blender and you blend them up. And we use the chia meal as a binder, and that's going to add protein, omega-3s, and help it keep together. So I'm just gonna use a spatula and put all this onto the sheet. And I played with these ratios a while, so I knew it was the exact amount to cover a full sheet. And that way you're not spreading it too thin. The first batches I I created, when it dehydrated, when all the water is getting removed, you get left with a really, really thin, brittle chip. And I didn't want a chip that would break as soon as I stuck it in something. There's nothing more depressing when you take a chip and you put it in your guacamole and it breaks off. And then you have to go fishing for it. And especially if other people are dipping in it, you lose your turn and then you have to wait till the next person is done dipping their chip. I'm gonna take my offset spatula. These things are perfect for dehydrated food or spreading out raw food and then getting into the place where you can dehydrate it. What I'm doing is I'm just spreading it back and forth, going corner to corner, because I know that this is enough to cover the whole sheet, about a ½ inch from the edge of the dehydrator sheet. When you're done, you're gonna be left with something like this, and it's cool. The color looks like a corn tortilla chip. And you're gonna dehydrate this for a long time. What I've been finding is it takes at least 24 hours. I'll stick it in there like this, and if the edges start to peel up, I'll flip it. Sometimes it stays pretty sticky on the bottom, and I'll just dehydrate it one side up the whole time, but it's gonna take a while because there's a lot of water in these vegetables. Here's a batch of the chips I've made in the past. Well, I don't score them. You're certainly welcome to try it out. What I do though is I get the whole sheet dry and then I just break them up. And now I have all these different sized chips and they're perfect for dipping. Once you break them up, then you're left with a bowl of these super nutrient dense chips. All there is in here is vegetables and some salt and some hemp seeds. Here is some hemp seed queso that I made. It's delicious, and this chip is strong enough where I can stir it in here. I get to eat this slowly with a chip that's crunchy, and it's all raw vegan. It's delicious. One thing to be aware of is, like chips, they're addicting. You can sit down and eat a whole batch. And one sheet is not gonna give you a ton of chips. You might want to make a few batches, but it's pretty awesome that there's 4 cups of vegetables in this batch of chips, and you can sit down and eat the whole thing. I wouldn't recommend doing that because there's also a 4th cup of chia seeds. That's a lot of fat to just sit down and eat in one sitting. But if you're craving chips and salsa, this is a perfect substitute for that chip component. It's super easy and super healthy. If you like these kind of recipes, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Give me a thumbs up. Let me know your thoughts, and thanks for watching the video.